Hello everyone. I'm doing something a little bit different today. I've always wanted to be able to review a game, but every time I try and do a written review for something, I always find that either I don't like what I've written, or I can't convey what I want to say, or my writing or typing speed cannot keep up with what I'm thinking in my head, and then I end up losing and forgetting what I've done. So I want to do something different today. I'm going to do a what I'm going to call it is a 5-minute rambling review. I'm basically going to talk about a game. Well, today is going to be Dark Souls 3. I'm going to talk about that for about 5 minutes and give you the pluses I think about the game and the negatives I think about the game, and then leave you with that. I might give a score at the end if I'm feeling, interesting. But anyway, yeah, Dark Souls 3. I played it for about 200 hours now. Absolutely adore it. I honestly think it's definitely one of the best games and one of the more polished. I wouldn't say the most polished, but the more polished games I've ever played on PC in my life. It's amazing. I have enjoyed every second I've spent in that game, and I want to start with that. I have enjoyed this game. I love it. If I just wish I just wish that it was longer. I think that's my only wish. But again, if it were up to me, I'd want this to go on forever because the sense of finding, going into new places was just, it was awe-inspiring and so scary, but so interesting all at the same time. So I think that's my first positive, is that the atmosphere that game brings is phenomenal. Like, you want to move on, but you're also terrified about moving on because everything is terrifying. Like, things can sneak up on you, things can kill you straight out of nowhere. Sure, like sometimes you can call it cheap, but it's that level of, it has a perfect balance of intrigue and fear. I think it's honestly, for that, it's amazing. It's really pretty as well. As I said, it's one of the more polished PC games I've ever played. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful game to look at on like maximum settings. Absolutely phenomenal. I was blown away, absolutely blown away by it when I first started playing. It's so goddamn pretty. Um, it's also a great introduction to the Dark Souls series, and I feel like that's what From Software were trying to go for. Was I feel like they wanted to make Dark Souls 3 rather than make it a sequel, per se. I think they wanted to make it as like the perfect Dark Souls game. So taking stuff that they learned from 1 and 2 and just making it, its perfect self-contained thing. And honestly, I think they did a phenomenal job. I mean, I wouldn't say it's hard. Now, a lot of people will probably have a go at me about that, especially a few people that I know who are rabid fans of Dark Souls. I didn't find it all that hard. I found it challenging by all means, like really challenging, but not, unfairly hard. Not the way that people have described it. Oh, you hit a boss, if you make one mistake, you're dead. Well, that's not entirely true. You can make mistakes. It allows you to make mistakes. It's unforgiving about your mistakes, though. So if you make a mistake, you will be punished for it, but it won't outright ruin your experience. Like, it does give you a chance to learn and, work off of your mistakes and really, really, get better for the next time you attempt it. So yeah, like, it's challenging and it's unforgiving, but I wouldn't say it's hard by really any stretch of my imagination, at least. So I think it's honestly, as I said, it's a perfect introduction to the series. And as I'm working my way back now, so I'm now playing Dark Souls 1 and 2, and I'm finding them a ton harder than 3. So I really do think that 3 is the perfect culmination of what From originally wanted Dark Souls to sort of, the difficulty to sort of be like. And finally, yeah, it's multiplayer connection. Oh, it's amazing. I've never lagged out. Ever, never, never, never lagged out of a game. I'm playing it on PC though, so that's a little bit, might be a bit of a, that might be the reason. But I absolutely, the multiplayer is phenomenal. I've rarely had lag. I've rarely had disconnects. It's honestly one of the best experiences I've had. But that's not to say it doesn't have its bad points. There are there's about 2 or 3 things that stop this game from being perfect. Number one, it stutters and hangs on its frames every now and again. As I said, I'm on PC, so it might just be a problem with my particular setup. I don't see how it could be. If you know my computer setup, you can look at it in the about page of my channel. I spent a lot on this computer, and I don't really understand why it stutters like and hangs every time it autosaves. That's kind of annoying. It's not overly bad. It's only for like half a second, like not even half a second, but it's noticeable, and it really does detract from the experience. If like when I was entering a new area, I was like, oh my god, this is beautiful, and then it would hang, and it would just take me out of the experience for a while. And I think that's a bit of a bummer. I don't know why that's happening. I've tried many fixes that people have said to do, and it still hasn't fixed it. So I think that's one negative. But again, take that with a grain of salt. It might be perfect for you. That's just a personal one for me. And the only other the only other two negatives I have, which are sort of related, is, as I said, I've recently been back playing the Dark Souls games 1 and 2. There's something missing from the two things missing from 3 that I adored. I've adored about 2 so far. One, you cannot upgrade your armor in Dark Souls 3. I love the fact that you can upgrade your armor in Dark Souls 2. I know there's this whole subgroup of people called Fashion Souls, where they like to get, the coolest looking armor and just roll with that, no matter like what benefits and bonuses it gives you. And the armor upgrade from Dark Souls 2, if that had gone back into 3, it would have been fantastic, because you could look the way you wanted, and you could also have the strength of what you wanted as well, like the resistances. And I honestly think it was a shame that that was left out. I mean, I understand if they're trying to get, people to experiment more and go with something different for each different, boss or each different area. But honestly, I just don't understand why it was taken out. It's just a really cool feature of Dark Souls 2. And the last little nitpick I have with it is, again, a thing missing that was in Dark Souls 2, and that's the hollowing. Now, you can hollow in Dark Souls 3. Not quite the same as 2, though, because in 2, I've noticed every time you die and you hollow, you lose a bit of your maximum health bar. Now, in Dark Souls 3, if you're not embered, you do that. If you're not embered, you do lose a little bit of your health bar, but it doesn't gradually go down. Like in Dark Souls 2, each time you died, it would jump down a little bit. And if you didn't have a humanity to raise it back up, then you were stuck with low health, making, it definitely punishing your mistakes more and forcing you to learn from them more than Dark Souls 3 does. Again, that's more of a personal thing, because some people I know really hated those mechanics, but I honestly thought they were great. So yeah, like, that's it. Like, as I said at the beginning of the video, I adored Dark Souls. Absolutely adored Dark Souls 3. It's one of the best games I've ever played, like, in my entire life. So, I guess I should give it an arbitrary score. So I'm going to, if I had to rank it out of 10, 5 being average, and 1 being the worst thing I've ever played in my life, I'd give it a solid 9. Absolute solid 9. I don't deal in decimal points. It's a 9. 10 is perfect, but it's, as I said, those 3 things are what killed it for a 10 for me. But otherwise, seriously, if you haven't played Dark Souls before, I would recommend playing Dark Souls 3. It is amazing. It is even if you're playing offline, even if you're trying, playing with all the way through with a friend to make it easier, it doesn't matter. Just play it for the experience. And yes, I understand this is longer than 5 minutes, but I really wanted to just get my point across. So thank you for watching my new little videos. I'm gonna probably do another one on another game at some point. But yeah, let me know what you think of this and what I can improve on in the comments below, if you would be so kind. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. See ya.